Hey, Cowboys Nation. We've got a lot to break down today, and it all starts with a huge shakeup in the NFC East. The New York Giants have officially parted ways with Brian Daboll, and it's not hard to see why. After 4 straight games where they blew double-digit leads, the decision was almost inevitable. Daboll's tenure had been a roller coaster of disappointments, and the numbers tell the story just as clearly as the games themselves. Under his guidance, the Giants went 2-8 this year, 3-19 in their last 22 games, and 5-22 in the last 27. Even more glaring, Daboll never managed to beat the Cowboys, falling in all 7 of his previous matchups. Those games were closer than the scores suggest in some cases, especially the overtime loss, but the result was always the same: another notch in the Cowboys win column, and another reminder that the Giants could not find a way to close the deal. For Cowboys fans, this is a scenario that brings both relief and a strategic advantage. The Giants' front office, despite firing the head coach, has chosen to retain general manager Joe Schoen. Historically, keeping a GM while letting go of the head coach is a move that signals organizational misalignment. It's a classic pattern we see in struggling franchises. The GM has one vision, the new coach has another, and the quarterback, in this case Jackson Dart, is left to navigate a path that might not match the timelines of either executive. This means that, at least in the short term, the Giants' internal struggles are likely to continue, which can only benefit the Cowboys and, honestly, the entire NFC East. When teams operate without cohesion at the top, it usually translates to inconsistency on the field. For Dallas, this opens up opportunities to assert dominance within the division without having to worry about a fully synchronized rival organization challenging them effectively. Moving beyond the Giants, there are some key developments across the league that also impact the Cowboys' playoff picture and overall strategy. The Raiders, for example, are dealing with a string of injuries that could play directly into Dallas' hands in their upcoming matchup. Geno Smith has been managing a quad contusion, and while reports suggest he will play, history tells us that these situations often lead to performances that fall short of expectations. The bigger concern for Las Vegas, however, is their offensive line. Colton Miller is already on injured reserve. Jackson Powers-Johnson may be headed there as well, and Dylan Parham is battling a high ankle sprain that could limit his availability. This leaves the Raiders fielding a makeshift offensive line that struggles to protect the quarterback and open lanes for the run game. For the Cowboys, this is an opportunity to generate consistent pressure, exploit mismatches, and potentially dictate the pace of the game. The defensive front has shown flashes of dominance this season, and against a weakened line, we should see an emphasis on aggressive schemes, heavy rotations, and multiple fronts to maximize pressure and force mistakes. On the offensive side for Dallas, the team has had its own ups and downs, particularly in terms of consistency. There have been moments where the offense has clicked beautifully, creating explosive plays and controlling the clock, but there have also been frustrating stretches where execution faltered and opportunities were lost. In terms of matchups, the Raiders present a favorable scenario for the Cowboys. The absence of key linemen means faster penetration for the defensive front, more pressure on Geno Smith, and a higher likelihood of turnovers or stall drives. Meanwhile, Dallas skill players have the chance to capitalize, whether it's in the passing game, the running lanes, or on special teams. Matchups are going to be critical, and the coaching staff will need to adjust dynamically, responding to the Raiders' rotations and injury-related substitutions. Looking at the broader NFC East landscape, Dallas finds itself in a position where every win counts, but the path to the playoffs remains narrow. The team currently sits outside the top seeds, and a few key losses earlier in the season have put playoff hopes on a knife's edge. Despite that, there's a measure of optimism in knowing that some division rivals are struggling even more. The Eagles, Commanders, and now the Giants are all facing internal or injury-related challenges, which means that a disciplined, focused Cowboys squad has the potential to capitalize on each slip-up. The key for Dallas will be maintaining consistency, minimizing mistakes, and executing in critical moments. Every drive, every third-down conversion, and every turnover can have outsized effects on a playoff picture. Injuries remain a central narrative across the league, influencing not just individual matchups, but also the strategies teams employ week to week. For example, the non-availability of certain players on the Raiders' line shifts the dynamics of both the run and pass game, and it requires defensive coordinators to adapt in real time. Similarly, quarterback management is becoming increasingly important for teams like the Giants and Raiders, who are dealing with inconsistent performances and health concerns. For Dallas, understanding these nuances gives them a tactical advantage. They can game plan not just for a name on the roster, but for the actual lineup they will face on Sunday or Monday night. It's chess at the highest level, and preparation often outweighs raw talent in these situations. When we talk about individual matchups, the Cowboys' defensive front will be critical against a Raiders team struggling to protect its quarterback. Players like Osa Odigizwa, Micah Parsons, and DeMarcus Lawrence should see increased opportunities to pressure, disrupt timing, and force turnovers. The secondary will need to be alert, particularly with receivers like Tyler Lockett, who can stretch the field and create explosive plays if given separation. On the offensive side, Dak Prescott has to continue showing growth in terms of timing, accuracy, and leadership, especially when the margin for error is slim. Coordination between the offensive line, skill players, and quarterback will be vital to exploit weaknesses in a defense that can pressure, but may also overcommit against the run. Beyond this week, the Cowboys season is very much defined by the NFC East standings. Wins over division opponents can provide leverage in tiebreakers, psychological advantages, and momentum, while losses can quickly erode playoff chances. The Giants' instability, combined with injury concerns around teams like the Raiders, presents a landscape where Dallas can assert itself. This is a team that knows its strengths, understands its vulnerabilities, and has the opportunity to take advantage of rivals' missteps. The importance of preparation, attention to detail, and execution cannot be overstated because, at this point, every game is effectively a playoff game in terms of stakes and implications. While the playoff picture remains fluid, there are still encouraging signs. The Cowboys' ability to capitalize on opponents' weaknesses, coupled with strategic planning, makes them a formidable presence in the NFC. Even with challenges earlier in the season, a disciplined approach and smart in-game adjustments can keep Dallas in contention. The dynamics of the NFC East, particularly with the Giants in flux and the Eagles and Commanders managing their own struggles, mean that Dallas has opportunities to seize control, but they need to act decisively. Every game offers a chance to build momentum, create separation in the standings, and position themselves for a late-season push where wins carry disproportionate value. In terms of player performance, it's about leveraging talent effectively. Skill players, offensive linemen, defensive playmakers, and special teams contributors all have to perform at a high level to overcome the challenges posed by injuries, inconsistent opponents, and shifting matchups. Leadership within the locker room also plays a huge role, maintaining focus, encouraging consistency, and ensuring that every player executes their assignment is just as important as any single star performance. The Cowboys' success this season hinges on the ability to combine preparation, execution, and opportunistic play in a way that keeps them competitive in every game, particularly against division rivals where every point and possession matters. With all of these factors in play, the upcoming weeks in the NFL are going to be crucial for the Cowboys. Games against teams like the Raiders and the Giants are not just about wins and losses. They're about positioning, momentum, and maintaining a competitive edge in a division that is as unpredictable as it is high stakes. The way Dallas approaches these games, manages its roster, and adapts to in-game developments will set the tone for the rest of the season. Smart, disciplined football, combined with opportunism and the ability to capitalize on opponents' mistakes, will define whether the Cowboys can make a meaningful push in the NFC East and beyond. As we move deeper into the season, the Cowboys find themselves navigating a complex web of matchups, injuries, and playoff implications. The Raiders game is a perfect example of this dynamic. Las Vegas comes into this matchup banged up along the offensive line, with Colton Miller already sidelined, Jackson Powers-Johnson likely headed to injured reserve, and Dylan Parham dealing with a high ankle sprain. This forces the Raiders to rely on a patchwork group of players, many of whom are inexperienced or unfamiliar with starting roles at this level. For Dallas, this creates a prime opportunity to dominate at the line of scrimmage. The defensive front can leverage speed, technique, and depth to disrupt the quarterback and control the run game. Pressure on Geno Smith is expected to be relentless, and with such instability up front, turnovers and stalled drives are very much within reach. The Cowboys' ability to adapt in real time and exploit these weaknesses could very well dictate the pace and flow of the game. Meanwhile, Dallas offense has its own set of variables to manage. Dak Prescott, coming off stretches of uneven play, needs to continue finding rhythm and maintaining accuracy under pressure. Coordination between the offensive line, skill players, and Prescott will be critical to exploiting defensive mismatches, particularly against a Raiders defensive unit that has shown flashes of brilliance but remains inconsistent. Players like CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, and the tight ends must step into roles that maximize spacing, timing, and route efficiency. This is a game where execution on every snap counts. Turnovers, missed blocks, or even slight lapses in concentration could shift momentum quickly, which is why discipline and focus are paramount. The Cowboys coaching staff will need to ensure that the game plan adapts dynamically to injuries, substitutions, and defensive adjustments while keeping the team in optimal positions to capitalize on every opportunity. As the NFC East continues to unfold, Dallas finds itself in a precarious but promising position. While the team sits outside the top playoff seeds, the struggles of division rivals like the Giants, combined with inconsistent performances from the Eagles and Commanders, provide openings that could be exploited. The key for the Cowboys is to maintain control within the division, winning head-to-head matchups, and keeping pressure on opponents while avoiding self-inflicted mistakes. Every division game carries enormous weight. Victories not only impact standings, but also influence confidence, momentum, and playoff tiebreakers. The Cowboys understand that the margin for error is thin, and maximizing performance in every quarter, on every drive, is critical to staying in contention. In terms of player development and health, the Cowboys are also navigating a delicate balance. The impact of injuries across the league highlights the importance of roster depth and strategic planning. Skilled players, linemen, and defensive stars must maintain peak performance, but equally important is managing fatigue and mitigating risks of injury. Leadership in the locker room and on the field is crucial, as players rely on one another to maintain intensity, focus, and resilience under pressure. Dallas has the talent and structure to capitalize on these challenges, but it requires precision and accountability at every level of the team. Every practice, every preparation session, and every in-game adjustment counts. The ability to execute in these moments could define the Cowboys' trajectory for the rest of the season. Looking beyond individual games, the broader playoff landscape adds another layer of complexity. Wins and losses across the NFC shape the Cowboys' path forward, and recent results have created both opportunities and challenges. Unexpected losses by teams like the Cardinals, Panthers, and other playoff contenders can shift probabilities and open doors, but they also underscore how thin the margin is for error. The Cowboys must continue to perform consistently, respond to challenges, and exploit weaknesses whenever possible. Every decision on the field, from play calling to personnel rotations, has an outsized impact in such a competitive environment. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers around the league are growing louder after veteran commentator Joe Buck reportedly took aim at the Dallas Cowboys during a recent broadcast. Sources close to the network suggest that Buck, known for his straightforward and often unapologetic commentary, didn't hold back when dissecting the team's recent performances. While he stopped short of calling out specific players by name, his tone and choice of words left little doubt that the Cowboys were the target. The comments, which have since fueled heated debates on social media, allegedly centered on the franchise's inability to maintain consistency on both sides of the ball. According to insiders, Buck questioned the effectiveness of the team's offensive schemes and hinted at a lack of defensive cohesion, suggesting that the Cowboys may be struggling to find the balance that once made them a perennial contender. Those in the know say his critique, though framed as analysis, was delivered with an unmistakable edge, sparking whispers that he might be signaling frustration shared by a growing segment of fans. Within NFL circles, reactions have been mixed. Some analysts argue that Buck's remarks reflect a broader sentiment about the Cowboys' current trajectory, pointing to recent performances that have left fans and commentators scratching their heads. Others, however, insist that Buck's reputation for bluntness should be taken with a grain of salt, noting that he has a history of sparking discussion with provocative takes that aren't necessarily indictments. Either way, insiders say the buzz is real, and the Cowboys' locker room is reportedly aware of the chatter, though official responses remain tightly controlled. Adding fuel to the speculation, a few unnamed sources claim that Buck's comments may have been influenced by private discussions with fellow analysts, who allegedly share concerns about the Cowboys' strategic direction. While the team's front office has yet to comment publicly, rumor mills are already spinning, with fans on forums dissecting every nuance of Buck's words. One thing is clear. Whenever Joe Buck speaks, especially about a franchise with the Cowboys' storied history, the ripple effect is immediate, leaving players, coaches, and fans alike in a state of heightened speculation. As whispers turn into chatter, questions abound. Is Buck hinting at a deeper problem behind the scenes? Could this be the start of a larger media narrative that might influence how the team is perceived nationally? For now, the only certainty is that Buck's commentary has reignited conversations about the Cowboys, proving once again that in football, words can create almost as much drama as the game itself. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.